That's my love. Dan, RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. I've got a really interesting show, I hope, anyways. Signs, symbols, and indicators. I've been getting some questions about this and have certainly had a lot of things kind of play out lately where these sorts of scenarios have come into play. And so I kind of wanted to maybe do a quick little show on how we can make use of signs, symbols, and indicators, what they mean, how we can define them, and how we can have fun with them. A lot of fun, for that matter. Now, I've had people ask the question, just because we're seeing things, isn't that just because we're thinking about them all the time? Isn't that because you've been thinking of so-and-so, your special person, so now all of a sudden you see their initials and license plates everywhere? Isn't that just because you're thinking about them? Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you're 100% right. So a lot of people would say, well, that's why it's happening. It's like, you obviously don't understand how manifestation works. Manifestation comes from creating the thought, and then that activity is now in play, and then we get signs that indicate, hey, you're on your path. So yes, since I've done my imaginal work and I've thought about it, now I'm starting to see signs, symbols, and indicators that are sort of letting me know, hey, you're right on track. And again, it's kind of a way of getting your conscious self to see something right now that it can get behind, because your higher self is well aware of the fact that you're on your way, you're heading, you're perfect, you're going exactly where you need to. It's our conscious self that's constantly always, I don't see anything yet. Well, now you do, little conscious self, you little baby, right? So that's kind of why that's there. We want to give it a chance to shush, essentially, right? Here you go. There's your sign. Shush yourself. Put a sock in it, right? So, what are symbols? To me, symbols are kind of more signs. Well, let's define words with themselves. Symbols are objects, they're shapes, things along those lines. So, maybe as a good example, maybe you and your specific person went on your first date or something cool, right? And maybe you guys went down to the beach and then you went to lunch at some fantastic little hole-in-the-wall place that had a really interesting little graphic on it. That graphic is a sign or a symbol for you. And so if you saw any sort of symbol that looked anything like that, it would remind you of that date with your specific person. It would take you back to that moment, and for good reason. The universe is telling you that for some reason, right? For some reason, it popped that in front of you. Maybe you're like, is he the right person? Here you go. Bam. There's a sign. Now, yes, I know some people might say, well, it's because you're thinking about them. Yes, you're thinking about them and manifesting them. So here's your sign to indicate you're on your way. So yes, because you're thinking about them, these things are happening, but they are happening because you're thinking about them, and they are happening to indicate that you're on your way. Other symbols that maybe matter for you, maybe rings, right? Maybe seeing a ring might make you think of marriage or marrying your specific person. Hearts, maybe hearts are a certain thing. Maybe just like a deck of cards, or maybe an ace of hearts, and you're like, that's my person, right? Like for me, when I play solitaire, hearts is that's my suit. So anytime anything pops up with hearts, I know it's me. And specifically the ace of hearts or the king of hearts, all those things, queen of hearts even could be my soulmate, right? Like they have meaning. And this is just me giving meaning to these things and using the cards to kind of help show me things. It's kind of like doing tarot. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that, or tarot, some people pronounce it. Again, it's the same kind of thing where you can kind of let your higher self work through a physical object and allow you to hopefully glean some knowledge about yourself or about your situation through that physical object. And so a lot of times, symbols are a very powerful way to do that. Shooting stars would also be a symbol for me, but I'm also going to say they're an indicator. They're kind of both. But without a doubt, it's a sign, a symbol. It's actually on my background screen, on my picture, on my phone, I should say. It's one of my favorite little symbols to throw on text messages and stuff, is the little shooting star symbol. So again, it's a good indicator and symbol for me. Now, I kind of want to get into numbers, because numbers are an awesome sign and symbol. And there is a website that I'm going to share in the show notes below. And it's a website, it's a numerology website, and it's like angel numbers or something like that. And it is just really, really awesome. And I've used this with the cards as well, with license plates, with all sorts of stuff. And I'll find that sometimes I'll maybe see repeating patterns. I'll maybe see like 2s and 3s will show up, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or 11, 11, right? Very common one. So kind of how this website works, which is pretty groovy, is say, for example, 1111. The 1111 sequence is most often the first sequence that appears to many people. Once the 1111 is noticed and acknowledged, the number of sequences progress until other numbers and onto other numbers, and your angels have other messages to pass on to you. The 1111 number sequence is a sign that there is an opportunity opening up for you, and your thoughts are manifesting them into form at lightning speed. The 1111 is similar to the bright light of a flashbulb. It means that the universe has just taken a snapshot of your thoughts and is manifesting your ideas into material form. A little ka-chunk, right? A little bit of a snapshot, a little picture. Whatever you were just thinking right before seeing the 111, oftentimes it's like, all right, that's happening, so boom, right? Like it just kind of gives you an indication that you're really manifesting in a very, very good way. So be aware when you have those moments, right? Make sure you're thinking positive thoughts and, obviously not negative ones, and use that positive energy of the universe to bring to fruition your deepest desires, hopes, and dreams. So that's part of why that comes into play. Another really good one, I don't know about where you live necessarily, but here in the United States, certainly, the number sevens are a lot of times affiliated with winning in gambling, right? So 777, that's usually a very positive number set, usually implies victory or winning. So seeing repeating sevens oftentimes can be a very, very good thing as well. So the angel number 777 informs you that you have listened to the divine guidance and are now putting that wisdom to work in your life. It is time to reap the rewards for your hard work and efforts. Well done. Your success is inspiring, helping, and teaching others by positive example. Repeating 777 informs you that you are to be commended and congratulated, and your efforts have been well noted. Know that your wishes are coming to fruition in your life as a result of your concerted efforts and positive attitude to life. Now, 7777, kind of again, number sequence is a message from your angels that you are on the right path and doing well. The universe is happy with your progress, and due to your positive attitude, positive efforts, and hard work, you have earned your rewards. Your wishes and desires are manifesting and coming to fruition in your life. The angel number 7777 is an extremely positive sign and means that you should also expect more miracles to occur for you. Doesn't that sound auspicious, huh? Sounds delicious even. Again, another good example, and this is the last one I'll read straight to you guys anyway. Angel number 1234 is often seen as steps, with subsequent numbers sequence such as 567, 789, appearing once the 1234 sequence is acknowledged and recognized, and the steps and actions taken by the individual. If feeling any doubt or fears about which actions to take, ask for guidance and assistance from the angels and listen to your intuition and inner wisdom. Know that you have all that you need within to achieve your goals and aspirations. You just have to make the choice to do so and take the appropriate actions, right? So have faith, have trust in yourself, your angels, and the ascended masters, and things are going to work out. Now, again, with that one, you've got 2, 3, 4, like good ones for the clock. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to me implies steps. Yes, definitely. 2, 3, 4 implies steps as well. But what about 4, 5, 6? Now, what if you're asking the universe, how far down this manifestation path am I as far as relative? Now, don't ask for times. Don't say, is it a week away? Is it a month away? No, don't go there. How far into this am I? Because that still allows things to happen at their own pace. But if you get something like 4, 5, 6, for example, wow, that's well past 1, 2, 3, 4, or well past 2, 3, 4. Now you're 4, 5, 6. Now you're well into this process. Now, on a clock, you can't really get any more chronology past 4, 5, 6 because there's just not the right numbers on the clock, but there are other ways those numbers could come into play. So you could get a 789 maybe on the license plate. Well, 789 to me almost implies you're almost done. So another great example of how you can ask the universe for signs or symbols and let it work towards you. And one last one that's just weird for me. Again, I'm a numbers weirdo, but I love 927. And a lot of people are like, huh? Why 927? 927, actually, and theoretically for a zip code, I've actually looked at like where it is. It's I think it was a pretty decent city, if I remember correctly. I'm not going to look it up, but 92781 would be even more significant to me. And the reason I like 927 is it's 3 squared, 3 times 3, and then it's 3 cubed, 3 times 3 times 3. It's just a neat little number, and both of them are 9 numbers, which is another fascinating thing. Again, it's me. I'm a weirdo. 927, just love it. Whenever I see that number, it's like, oh, that's so cool. So again, numbers can play an enormous difference as far as trying to communicate. And also what's helpful is when you have something like this website, now your higher self and universe, right? Now you guys have like a known rule book, if you will. Universe now knows, oh, if I give them numbers, they're going to go to this thing, and that's what they're going to use to help them understand. Now, again, you're still going to filter this through your own logic, your higher self. You're going to try to see how you feel about things because it's not always just going to be like, oh, yes, do that. It's not usually that black and white, but it will give you a good indicator. And sometimes you'll get strange numbers that actually hit home because maybe you're not thinking about the right thing, or maybe you're thinking too much about physical stuff when you really shouldn't be. So again, it's got a lot in there that it can totally help with, and it's pretty cool, I think. I still use this every day. I've been using this for years. This is like one of my go-tos for sure. Love it. Another one, indicators. To me, and this is the final part of all this, indicators to me are more of a predefined kind of thing, at least the way I'm defining it here for you all. An indicator is something that indicates something. So, in my case, shooting stars. Shooting stars indicate that a major change or a major occurrence or a major decision by my significant person is going to happen within the next 3 days of me seeing that shooting star. It's just a symbol I like to use. It's an indicator, I should say, that I like to use. Well, it's a symbol too. It's both. But it's a good indicator for me. It's something that you don't just see all over the place, yet it can very, very much kind of give you some insight, right, in my case. I've also 1234, 234, 321. 321 is another one where you're almost counting down, right? So those are a couple good indicators. But maybe you've got something that matters to you. Maybe it's that logo on the window of that restaurant that you had lunch with your significant person. Make some symbol or sign mean something. Tell the universe, tell your higher self, all right, if I see it, this means that. Now, try not to make it something that's everywhere. Don't make it something like, if I see the number 1, that means my significant person's going to call me today. All right, you're going to see a number 1, I guarantee it, right? You're not making this very difficult. And you might be disappointed because the universe can be like, all right, whatever, you're going to make a ridiculous one. I'm going to give you a number 1. And then I'm going to do something weird where they won't necessarily call you, but maybe someone with the same name calls you. Or, it'll be something goofy where the universe is messing with you or higher self's messing with you. So again, pick something that's not all over the place. It's kind of why I always like to play with the beach ball concept for those of you that are familiar with some of my older shows. Like, that's a great fun one to manifest, is that beach ball, because they're not all over the place per se. Even me living here in California, Southern California for that matter, they're not everywhere. I certainly can find them. They exist, but they're not everywhere. I just don't see beach balls lying around everywhere. So it's always a fun little manifester for me, or sometimes a symbol. So again, we can define what a sign is and then tell the universe, this is what it's going to mean to me. So if you show that to me, this implies this, right? That this means X, right? So if you show me a license plate that's got ABC 123, for example, which would be a pretty specific symbol, right? And if you've asked for that, and that means my specific person and I are a month away from getting together, I don't know, just to throw a crazy one out there, that can work. Right? So maybe you're driving around one day and you're like, oh my God, there's my sign. And you'll get goosebumps and crazy stuff, might even start tearing up. And ultimately, you'll probably find that it actually will work out the way it is. Now, I will say there's been times where I've used indicators for similar ways and have told myself certain things. And if you go too far out, a month, for example, a lot can happen in a month. And this is one of the things that sucks about if someone told you the future. If someone said, 5 weeks from now, you and your specific person are definitely getting together. Telling you that, especially if you believe it, would alter how you behave for the next 5 weeks. You would do things differently. In fact, many of us would start to cuddle up to our significant person, flirt with them extra or whatever, early, and probably screw it up. Because we'd have so much, this is definitely happening, so then we just start running down that path like it's already happened, when in reality, maybe there's a bunch of things that have to happen, and then we have a fight at 3 weeks, and then we make up at 3.5 weeks, and then a little bit after that, all of a sudden they call us and they're like, I just miss you, right? Like, these things have to happen in the progression that they're going to. It's all happening perfectly, right? Trust the process. So again, sometimes if we know too far in advance, you can damage your attempts. You can screw yourself doing that. So I recommend not going that far out. Like, that's why I do 3 days. 3 days is pretty far out as far as a lot of things can happen between now and 3 days, but it's not so far out that I'm like spending all this time assuming things, maybe making poor choices. Who knows, right? Too much can happen doing it that way. That's just a recommendation. You can do whatever you want. It's just what I've found in the past has caused me some frustration and confusion. So again, these are things you can play with. It's not always going to be 100% because it's still an issue of how you perceive it and how you define it. A lot of times we don't define things really well. We make it kind of willy-nilly, kind of gray. Like it means that they're thinking of me. All right. Okay. Great. Your special person's thinking of you. What does that mean? It means nothing. But I know people out there have said, I just hope he's thinking of me. Give me a sign that he's thinking of me. Okay. But I had a thought of you. Boom. Done. Done. That doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. So again, try to find signs that are good. And also when you're going to ask questions to the universe, try really hard to make it yes-no stuff just to make it easier for you. Again, this is from months and months and years of screwing around with all these symbols and being frustrated at times because I'm asking like crazy questions that I want some sort of long drawn out answer. The universe can't, it's too confusing. It's too hard for me to make sure that's what I'm getting, right? So make it easier. Make it yes, no. Make it black and white. Make it yes or, whatever. It just helps in the big picture. And it helps with our communication to our higher selves and certainly to universe, to other higher selves. Hopefully this helps. Signs, symbols, and indicators. I am hoping this makes a difference. I have had months and months of fun. And again, I will be sharing that website on the show notes below, so please check that out if you're curious at least about the site that I use. It's a great numerology site. I've been using it for years, and this lady's awesome, I guess. I think she's from England, the way she spells her name and whatnot. But anywho, doesn't matter. So again, we're going to be going out with a great song by One Direction. It's one I've done before, but when I listened to it, it just gave me chills. So I'm like, we're putting it at the end at this time, but love this song. It's called Story of My Life. Dan, Radio Style.
The story of my life, I